real estate agent? Are you looking to acquire clients consistently so you can grow your business and your income to live a great lifestyle? This is Dave Finale and the RE Skill Builder Podcast.
Good morning, everybody. It is Real Estate Talk TGIF episode, wait for it, 161. We have done this 100 and, I didn't do this right. I got to fix this, Albie. Wait a minute. It says 160. It's 161.
161.
Yeah, we've done them 158 weeks in a row. And why is that there? I keep making mistakes, so I'm pretty good at making a mess. But it's all right. It's all right. We clean it up to progress. So anyway, it's 158 weeks in a row. That's over 3 years. We've had a lot of greats on this broadcast, and now we got another one. Albie Stasek, welcome, man. Thanks so much for being on the broadcast.
I appreciate you for having me, Dave. I'm excited.
Good. Me too, man. Me too. I mean, there's a great bunch of people that I've been able to really meet over the past couple of years. Friends of yours, friends of mine now, and I just like to keep growing. I love it. So as I said, Albie, this is episode 161 of Real Estate Talk TGIF. Do you know what TGIF stands for?
Well, I think I know one version, but I'm sure you have a better version of it. Thank God it's Friday.
You're close.
Yeah?
You're close.
What is it?
Thank God it's Finale. Dave Finale. So we got to use it. And when I made up the name, I didn't even think of that. And then it started working. So everybody said, hey, TGIF's going to be on tomorrow. So we're going to have a bunch of people I'm in Dallas, Texas right now at an event going on. We've got a bunch of people here that we all know and love. They're going to be on this broadcast, hopefully. But I want to really get into the story of you, right, to start, right? I mean, you've done so many great things and helped so many real estate agents in your career. But how did somebody help you? How did you get started? What was the impetus for you to really get into this business and rock and roll with it?
Well, Dave, when you think about, when I started in 1998 is when I got licensed, it was still kind of the I guess you could call the dark ages of real estate. It was right on the end of it. Oh, looks like we lost Dave, but I'll keep rolling until he comes back.
No, I'm here. I'm just going out for a second.
Oh, got you. Yeah. So I started with a traditional firm, really didn't have any coaching, didn't have any of that. My broker though was a great man. So he, taught me how to list a house. I started cold calling expireds coming right out of the gate, landed a few listings. And then I knew that was probably about all the coaching training I was going to get at that point. So I went out and I was a seeker. I just tried to find a better way. So I think I found Craig Proctor coaching type of a thing and followed him for a bit. And, through my career from Brian Buffini, I always was seeking out coaching. And luckily in 2010, I ended up meeting Mike and Jay Kinder and Michael Reese of Kinder Reese Coaching. And that's really when things started to turn around. My business started doubling. And obviously in 2010, as you probably know, we were coming out of the real estate collapse. So it was tough, to sell houses then because we had short sales and this and that.
Yep.
I really just started being a great copycatter and just got, hooked up with a group of really great folks who we all shared the same problems. And then we all helped each other solve those problems. And that was through a mastermind. So that's kind of the journey. It's always been a coach that I would be able to point back at. Now John Sheplack is one of my coaches. John Kitchen's been my coach since 2012. I have two coaches actually, and really they just keep me centered and keep me pointed in the right direction, and keep me grounded. So that's.
I think you make a great point about coaches, and what I think everybody needs to understand, Albie, is that reinvesting in yourself, investing in yourself, and that's coaching, right? So you talked about one of the greats, John Sheplack, who I've known and been able to coach with for many, many years, and we turned to have a great friendship. And then there's others come along that you say John Kitchens you've been with for a while. John's a great guy. He's been on the broadcast. And I've also worked with Grant Wise who is amazing, along with another one, Rebecca Mountain. So I've over the years worked with the Ferry Group, worked with other coaches and stuff, and just have been very fortunate to really meet great people. I want to ask you about one thing you just said. You became a great copycatter, right? And a lot of people say, if you want to build your business, find someone that's successful and copy what they do. Okay. The reason I want to address that is because one of the issues that I have with people that are copying is they're just seeing the tip of the iceberg. They're not going for the whole iceberg. You know what I mean? So talk to me about what you actually did in that respect.
So, Jay Abraham was one of Mike and Jay's strategist coaches, if you will, the $1 billion man. If you're familiar with Jay, he's an amazing human being. I was fortunate to spend some time with him as well. And Jay would always correct us and say, "Listen, stop saying that you're copying, you're modeling." So the difference between, it's the same thing, but so we could say modeling. In modeling a business, it doesn't mean that you're just gonna look and see what someone's doing and try to do that. It goes many layers deep. There's strategy behind it. And when it boils down to, I think that the biggest problem that real estate agents have, and I'm talking about the majority of real estate agents in growing their business, is they don't know where their next transaction is going to come from. They're on a roller coaster. 1 month is bad, next month is great, or 1 month is bad and next month is barely good. And that's why we see so many people dropping out. What solves that problem is understanding marketing. And so when I talk about copycatting, I copied the best offers, the best sales funnels, how to run ads correctly, how to write the best copy, which John helped me out with. Jay Kinder's one of the best copywriters I've seen as well. And I copy what they're doing, and then really, obviously put your own twist on it and everything like that. But yeah, trying to reinvent the wheel rarely works out, and
exactly.
So that's what I would say by what I mean by modeling and copying.
And just to further on the point I was trying to make is that that's the hard part about being a real estate agent, is you're not getting pointed in the right direction. We'll talk a little bit about that in a few minutes, but getting pointed in the right direction is really important. But you have to go deeper. You have to. Copying is not modeling. Modeling is really the point, to really see behind the wall, behind the doors, behind the closed doors of what's going on, right? And being able to take, honestly, I talked about my experience with John. I am still using things that he taught me years ago. Be different, not better. I came from John, gave that to me years ago, right? We're saying the wrong things to the right people, the right things to the wrong people. The whole series of videos I did with John's copying. Yeah. It's just great stuff. So you were able to build your business by modeling and got really good. What did that look like for you? What was when you talk about that? Where did that go from you after 2010? Was when you said you started doing that?
So, what I started doing is I started implementing systems. One of the first things I implemented was an ISA. If you ask me, what was the one thing, if there was only one thing you could point at, I saw that, through a lot of Jay's videos and stuff, he had an ISA setting listing appointments. And actually, it was a video he sent me before I was even a client. And again, going back to the copy, the headline, the hook was how to set 72 listing appointments in 1 month. I'm like, okay, you have my attention. And so the first thing I did, when I started following Mike and Jay, is I put a Craigslist ad in for an inside salesperson, hired a girl within a week, and she was setting me up on dozens of listing appointments for expireds, and that was a big aha for me. I was like, wow, I can scale this. All of a sudden I was the one at 6 o'clock at night till 8 o'clock hitting phones, setting myself up on listing appointments for the next day or next couple of days. I was doing that. And I wasn't half bad at it, actually, but I didn't like it. I really didn't like it. At one point I just wanted to, maybe just go on listing appointments instead of making those calls. So I leveraged the inside salesperson. I ended up scaling that out, and our business just literally started doubling every year after that. And so I would point to the inside sales position.
So when we talk about inside sales positions, a lot of people are going to say that, well, I can't afford to do that. I can't really do that. And I think about whenever I hear about hiring an assistant, and I think about leveraging your business and leveraging a couple of dollars here and there, I remember a couple of things that I've heard and I've learned over the past few years. Number one, you need to fire yourself at things that you're not good at or you hate to do, number one. But also, I listened to this same broadcast, Kyle Whistle telling me that the first thing he did when he got into this business was hired an assistant, right? He knew there was shit he wasn't going to want to do. And that was the first thing he did, which is really important. So he was able to leverage immediately. How important was that for you? How important was the leverage? I mean, you just said you doubled your business as you moved along, kept increasing it. How can you really explain that to have that make sense to a new agent, how they can leverage themselves?
Well, look, I mean, if the finances aren't there to make that investment, then you got a phone, make the calls yourself, learn and build the skill. In fact, I would never tell anybody who hasn't actually built those skills
exactly
and the habits to go out and just hire someone to do it. There's a training involved, and there, it's a very valuable position. And the tough thing is, finding the good ones is tough because let's face it, making calls all day, cold calls, isn't everyone's cup of tea. So finding someone that's good, willing to do it, that's dependable, it's not always easy. It actually, we ended up getting good at it. We hired several ISAs and we ended up launching a company called Appointments Today in 2015. I since have sold that company to my partner. He's still operating it, Matt Milia. But Matt was my first ISA. So I don't mean to go off on a tangent, but to answer your question, the new agent probably shouldn't try to make that investment until they've built the skill. And they get to a point where you said it earlier, and that was a Sheplackism. What I heard you say is firing yourself. I heard him say that, and I think it was 2011 maybe, and it was at the Kinder Reese conference where he spoke. That was the first time I ever met him, and he said, in order to grow and scale your business, you need to fire yourself every day. And what he's talking about is getting the low leverage activities off of your plate and hiring to those, getting the low dollar per hour, and you continue to do that slowly until you're only working on the highest dollar per hour, or we call them HLAs, high leveraged activities. And when you're only doing high leveraged activities, that is the highest dollar per hour work that you can be doing. If you're running buyers and you're opening doors and lock boxes, that is a low leverage activity. Now, don't get me wrong, you can make a real good living running buyers around. But a higher leveraged way of doing it is to have a showing assistant doing that, and then you focusing on just writing the offer, negotiating the sale. Those are high leveraged activities. Running a listing appointment is a high leveraged activity. Negotiating a sale is a high leveraged activity, and really making that list and slowly building your business to a point where you can afford to make. Look, there's never a good time to make the hire. You're thinking, well, maybe I can hold off another 3 months, no, make the hire. Yes, it's going to be scary, expensive. And oh my God, I have payroll right now, but a year goes by and it'll be nothing. And you're going to be glad you did. But coming out of the gates, learn those skills and build them yourself before you hire to them.
Hey, there's so many things you said there. I mean, there's two real important things I want to hit. One is, you need to know how to do it yourself before you hire somebody to do it. You need to have a really good skill acumen for whatever it is. What they're going to be making calls. You need to know how to do it and know what works, because this way you're able to coach and train the person you're bringing in, right? And it's the same thing. People say to me, Dave, I want to start a team. I want to start a team. I say, okay, well, how much business you doing? Do you have a system in place on how you want buyers handle, how you want sellers handle, how you want this handle? Like a lot of teams, I think one of the reasons they don't really succeed in being profitable is they don't have systems in place for their people down below. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would agree with it. I think, we all have to start somewhere, and
Right.
then you find your sweet spot, how
Right.
you want to list homes. So, what we have is we have a system that literally anybody can follow. So one of my goals was to get out of production and run my company. And right now I actually am, I don't know what you want to call it, the seventh level leadership. I'm not even really running my company. It runs itself. I have a president of the company, Joel, who does a great job and runs my team here in Cleveland. But shoot, I lost track of where I was going with that. What were we talking about, Dave?
We're talking about agents knowing what they're doing before they hire.
Thank you. So the thing is what I want people to understand is that you can't duplicate hero, which means if I'm marketing Al Stasek all over the planet and I show up at a listing, the chances are, because they recognize the name, I'm probably going to walk away with that listing, even if it wasn't the best presentation. So
right.
what Mike and Jay created was called the Certified Home Expert Advisor, where it's a system that we can train any agent to list homes following the step-by-step system. So we systematized the listing so that it doesn't have to be me showing up. You can't step out of your business. And when I say step out, I mean step out of that sales role and run your business like a business unless you have a system set up, because you can't duplicate hero. If you're marketing yourself everywhere and you're showing up at the door and taking listings easy, someone else stepping into that seat is not going to be able to take those listings as easy as you do. So you need that system. That's why they created the CHSA certification, so that it's literally a paint by numbers, step-by-step process that, if followed, we can sell homes for up to 18% more than traditional real estate agents. And every single one of my agents gets certified before they go out and list houses and can follow the exact same system.
So you just have revolutionized a script that I'm now going to build that you cannot duplicate hero, right? So think about this, right? I know 2 good-sized team leaders in my area that are having difficulty duplicating hero. And what I mean by that is, if they don't go in a listing presentation, or if they get the listing, everybody wants to talk to them, they have not set their systems up properly. So that is a good way for me to be able to help them. And the point is, it just reiterates and just reinforces the idea. You've got to have systems. You got to say this. You got to do that. And the Kinder Reese method is the best way. There's no question about that, right? Having been involved with that to a point. Something else you said that I wanted to address, and one of the things that I address all the time, is people worry about the decision. We talked about hiring an ISA. Should they do it? Should they not do it? It's going to be money. How am I going to get it to work? Will it work? They have all this shit going on in their heads, and they're saying, "Oh wow, this is all fear. This is all doubt." I do a presentation called Days Without Doubt, and it's all about building mindset around this fear that agents have about not taking that step, about not making that call. What do I say what happens if they hang up on me? So I do this presentation about Days Without Doubt to try to beat doubt. And the best way to beat doubt is really simple: action. Just take action and move forward as quickly as you can through that decision, right? So, and that's actually exactly what you're talking about. How have you used this systematized business, the systematized process, to build your business and your team to where you are at today in Ohio?
Are you talking about, just like the difference? You're talking about taking action or not taking action? Is that where you're going?
Yep.
Yeah. I can tell you this. The number one strategy for success in real estate is taking action. And, in having long talks with John, one of the principles that I coach to and live by is that fear exists in everyone, but it's a matter of having an awareness of that fear. Fear, hesitation lives in fear.
Yes.
And action lives in love. So when you're thinking about growing your business, when you're thinking about hiring new people, when you're thinking about recruiting more agents to your team or brokerage, if you're not making that call because of fear, then you understand the hesitation that you have right now and moving forward and taking that next step is in fear. And fear will also keep you inside your comfort zone. And I will say this, you will never see growth and success inside your comfort zone. You have to step outside it, and you need to burn the boats and just do it. And I can tell you a little something about burning the boats, because there's right there. Every day is my reminder to burn the ships. And I'm sure you know that story behind burning the boats.
Would you be a favor? Two things. Tell me the story, but also tell me where I can get that print.
Yeah, I'll let you. I'll have to pull it off there, and I'll let you know after our broadcast. I mean, burn the boats is just a parable. No one knows, if it's true or made up or whatever. But the lesson behind it is timeless, and it's just, there was a conqueror named Hernando Cortez, and Hernando Cortez, his goal was to take the richest treasure on earth. And so in order to do that, he had to recruit a bunch of men, and he recruited, 300 sailors and 100 soldiers and got everyone on these ships and sailed from the shores of Cuba to the Yucatan Peninsula. And when they started getting close to shore, the men started getting nervous, because guarding this treasure was the baddest, meanest, deadliest army that ever existed. And literally conqueror after conqueror tried taking this treasure and failed. And the army beat them and killed all these people every time. So these guys, they're coming into something that they started getting nervous. So Hernando Cortez said, "Look, guys, I got you. I understand you're nervous. Hop off these ships. Let's meet on the beach. I got something to share with you." And so they were a little bit hesitant, but they all got and gathered on the beach. And this is where, these guys are thinking that Hernando was going to give them the strategy. Like, you guys go this way. You guys go this way. We'll meet over here. And if arrows go flying, we're going to go here. No, he said 3 words that changed everything. And he leaned in and he said, "Burn the boats." And these guys are like, "What?" And he said, "Burn the ships right now. Because if we leave this island, we're leaving on their ships. We're not leaving on our ships." And they torched every one of the boats, and something special happened. They fought really well, because there was no plan B. It was plan A or die, pretty much. And they fought, they won. And so I would say to your listeners, what boats do you need to burn? Are you a part-time agent that's got that bartending job that, is that's your boat. That's your comfort zone right there. I'll challenge you to burn the boats. Find out what boats that you have that's holding you back, and burn them down. And that's kind of the story, if no one's ever heard it.
That is a great story, and you told it the best I've ever heard it told. And that's not the first time I heard you say it, because you said it in videos once or twice before. And you must have anticipated one of my questions, which was going to be, you've got this situation where you've got an agent that's a part-time agent. I've got several as mentees right now that are really starting to crush it in this business, but they got a full-time job. Mm-hmm. So I start saying to them, I said, "Well, what are you going to do?" I said, "Do you want to keep this job and keep doing real estate and keep pulling your hair out that you don't have enough time for real estate? When is it going to be time for you to actually burn the boats? When is it going to be time for you to have that, excuse my language, fuck you date for your job?" Right? Yeah. When you do that, right? It's all a matter of, just like you said before, go work and love yourself.
Yeah, you're nailing it. I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. But that's where that fear comes in, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. But the job pays my rent or my mortgage or my car payment. That money just comes in twice a month like clockwork. And if I stop, then the money's going to stop. And then what do I do if I don't have an escrow, So I get it. I was there. Dave, yeah. I don't think we shared this, but when I stopped driving truck, I was an over-the-road truck driver. And as a young man, believe it or not, I think I was making like $40,000 a year driving truck. And it was kind of cool because I was on the road 5-6 days a week, and I wasn't spending it. So it was cool while it lasted. But when I decided to get into real estate, I still needed income. So I went to work for Chase Manhattan Mortgage. I was a collector of delinquent mobile homes. So I literally was headset, dialer, and I was literally, my states were in the South. And luckily the people in the South were pretty nice, but the people I was calling, none of them paid their bills on time. So I had a lot of people to call. Okay. And some of the calls went bad, good, whatever. But I was making $19,000 a year. I went from making $40,000 a year as a truck driver to $19,000 as a bill collector. And I'm grateful for the time that I spent there because it actually helped me build my calling skills. But the reason I tell the story is because I made a decision, and this is before I knew the story about burn the boats, but I made a decision to burn the boats when I had 2 in escrow. When I put 2 in escrow and I had 2 at one time pending, I made a promise I was going to resign and quit. And I did. And it was scary. But that fear I turned into passion, and I got up every day early, hit those phones and started taking listings, and I was not going to fail. I was going to die running on the treadmill before I'd fail. So, I mean, that was what I did, to burn the boats and come out of like being a part-time agent and step into full-time. And I've never looked back since. So, set yourself make yourself a commitment and keep that commitment and just do it and burn the boats.
Yeah. It's really interesting as I live the burn the boats theory every day because I don't want to have anything to fall back on because it really drives me. I mean, look, I've been in this business a long time and people say, "Oh, Dave, you're retired." No, I'm not retired. I have too much of a work ethic. I can't stop working, right? I went away for a few weeks this year and the biggest important thing for me was to do my calls, to do this broadcast. And I've done it in many states in this country, but because I've done it 3 years in a row and it was really important to me. So I'm not going anywhere. I just want to keep the drive moving and keep doing it because it's about work ethic. It's about what you want. It's about going as deep as you can to figure out who you really are and what you really want, which is really important. And if you know those answers or you can get to those answers, you're going to figure out how to do it. And the discipline and the word you just used, which we both learned from that great man, John Cheplack, commitment is so important. Goals are one thing. Commitments are measured by results, and that's how we move forward through everything that we do, which is how you've built your business as well, right?
Commitments are measured by results, man. Absolutely. And, we know if you're committed or not by the result. So It's really that simple. So, talks cheap and, but where the rubber meets the road is getting that result, and in order to get there, you're going to need to fall down and fail and get back up and start over again and then fall down again. And I can't tell you how many times, I went broke trying to get, my business to where it's at right now, to where I had no money or very little anyway, not enough money to clear payroll for my company. And I had my savings and put money in from my own personal savings into the business to give it a little kickstart. Those are things that, if you're not willing to go through hell, then maybe the business part isn't for you. And that's okay too. There's plenty of teams out there you can hop on with a great leader to where you don't have to go through that. I don't judge anybody, it's not for everybody. Right.
Right.
Maybe that, being on a team is best. There's nothing wrong with that. a lot lower stress. You know, some people they net more money, actually being on a team because of it's a highly leveraged position, so yeah, hopefully that answered the question.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So through your career, I mean, you were with Remax for a long time, and there's a lot of things going on, and then you one of the things we talked about was new agents the other day when we were talking before, and we talked about new agents. So new agents coming in, we have, believe it or not, Albie, there are over 400,000 new agents as realtors just in the past 12 months, believe it or not, right? We've gone from 1.4 million agents, realtors in the United States to 1.6, but 400,000 of them are new, right? That's a statistic I just read, and I wasn't blown away because I really thought we would lose agents during the pandemic, and we did. Some retired, some said, screw this, I'm not doing it, right? What would you tell new agents? What would be your game plan for a new agent getting into the business on how to really get going fast?
Well, I would tell them, if find the best team in your area and jump on it. In '98, teams weren't really a thing.
Right.
There might have been one I'm aware of in my market, and I didn't jump on it. In hindsight, knowing what I know now, I would have. And the reason I would have is because I would be able to, really see how the real estate business. First, I'd have a mentor. I'd have coaching. I'd be able to literally insert myself into systems and learn. And, whether you stay on the team forever or not isn't really the point. The point is that, there's a reason why we have so much attrition, and why, I don't know what the statistic is. I'm kind of pulling this out of my memory, but 80% of agents that get licensed don't make it past the 5th year. The reason is, well, there's a lot of reasons. One, it's pretty easy to get a real estate license, number one. So a lot of people do. And number two, they don't have the right coaching, mentorship. And we were talking about coaching at the beginning of this broadcast. And the one problem with really good coaching is that it's expensive, and it's not necessarily accessible to everybody. And that was really one of the core reasons that Mike, Jay, and myself partnered and merged our brokerages into EXP, is because now we're able to offer, our services, our time, without asking someone for a credit card. Now, that's not to say that one-on-one high-level coaching isn't great. I have paid coaches myself that are very expensive, but the new agent, I would say 99.9% of new agents can't afford to whip out their credit card and pay a high-level coach to try to figure it out. So the best thing to do is to jump on a high-level team that is successful and learn that way. That's what I would tell new agents.
I completely agree with you, and there's also the thing we're talking about. We talk about several different things. We got the team, you have brokerages, and you have coaching. I want to start with coaching real quick, right? I believe that there's been a great evolution in coaching, in the way you do it, and the way I do it, the way Jay and Michael do it. It's a little bit different, where it's not. There's a bunch of coaching companies out there and coaches out there, and I think there's a model that's broken there too. And basically, because they're saying, okay, what do you want to do better at? And I get the approach. The approach makes sense to me. But see, I believe the way I do my stuff is I believe in the platinum approach. The platinum, I just call it that. I just named it that. I don't know why, I just did, right? But I mean, so here's the thing, right? You've heard of the golden rule. The golden rule is treat others like you want to be treated. The platinum rule is treat others the way they want to be treated, which is different. And I really believe in that. We have to do that with sellers and buyers, because if we tell them what they need, we're making statements, and it's all about us. We don't want it to be about us. We want it to be about them. So when I talk about the platinum approach to coaching, I'm talking about really simple. Okay, what do you like to do? What's working for you? So let's augment what's working for you with some other skills that we can help you and upskill you and evolve your business the way you want it to work. And if I can't do that, then we're not a good match. So that's the way I believe our coaching is going, the way you guys have done it, the way some great coaches are doing it. But I also see that the old model of, okay, what do you want to do? Let's do this, this, and this. the problem with it is there's no accountability. And when they finish coaching, there's no follow-up on it either. So what you're talking about is getting with a good team. Let's go to teams. It's got to be a good team. It can't be just any team. You agree with that?
Yeah, it's got to be a team with a good leader, and it doesn't have to be a real large team with, 20, 40 people. It could be a small team, but as long as that, if you connect with that leader, then that's a huge, check in the box, the first box. Obviously, you want that person to have systems and stuff like that. But I'm a new agent. If I'm a new agent getting my license today, I'm jumping on a team. That wasn't something available to me back, 20 years ago or however long. Hate to even admit it. Oh my gosh, 23 years ago. I'll be licensed 23 years, I think, this August. So it just wasn't a thing then. Luckily, because of the evolution of, where the old model of brokerage, which is your traditional brokerage, has been completely, I don't want to say that it's been wiped off the map, because we know, with all the Realogy brands out there, those are traditional models, right? But it's being disrupted by the new models, and obviously the commissions to brokerages, that downward pressure on commissions. So it's harder for brokerages to make money, so they can't invest in the coaching. The teams, on the other hand, are almost every great team leader has invested in coaching. And so they'll be able to then transfer that knowledge and coaching down to their teammates. And that's a great way to leverage and get really, really great coaching without having to, pay thousands of dollars every month for it.
That is so true. And you look at the evolution of one of my favorite words in our business and life, really, is evolution, how we evolve. Is you look, I was first licensed a couple of years earlier than you, 1976. And I've seen a few different things happen. I mean, when I first got my license, I worked with a local company. Franchises weren't big. Century 21 had just started. Remax was around, and other things started happening. I don't know if you ever heard of it. He was a member of this network called Homes for Living, which was they built a magazine of listings and stuff. So anyway, long story short, my training was really great. It was if the phone rings, answer it. That was my training, which was really cool, right? Didn't learn anything. But long story short is the evolution has been, it's been agent and broker centric back then, to company centric and franchise centric, to broker centric again. Now it's come back to agent centric, where the agents are the most important part. And that's where I believe the brokerage model of, the last 30 years, let's say, is kind of broken. And maybe it's not broken, maybe it just doesn't work anymore, and it hasn't evolved. As you said, the Realogy brands are out there. And honestly, I think a lot of the brands are falling over themselves, not knowing how to evolve and how to compete in the today's agent-centric business that we're in. And my objective is just to help as many people as I can. If I can help people understand it and build their business in that system or out of it, that's what I want to do. And I know you're in the same place with that, right? What would be your reaction to that?
I would just say that, if you're skilled and you build the skills, you can sell 50 houses at any of the brands that we just mentioned. You can learn that. The problem is with that business model, it's not set up for the agent to win. It's set up for the agent to stay on the treadmill. And after 20 or 30 years with any of those traditional models, the agent is going to be right where they started. And if they stop selling homes, the money stops rolling in. Meanwhile, agents down here in that traditional franchise model, the money flows up to the broker, and then from that it flows up to the franchise, and everyone's getting paid along the way. And the agent down here is the one running and making all the money. And so what's been great with EXP is Glenn Sanford flipped that, and now everyone is winning together because the agents, have stock and have ownership in the company that they're building. It's really brilliant what he put together. And what that's allowed us to do is have a synergy and have financial alignment. That was something that when we joined, I didn't hear it come out of anyone's mouth until Jay Klinger. We were in a mastermind, and he said, the reason this company is so great is because of financial alignment. So when you think about, other companies, where all the agents are doing all the work and that money keeps flowing up. All they're doing is helping build someone else's sellable asset. They're not building their own sellable asset. They're building someone else's company.
Right.
You know, you don't have to agree with me, but it's the truth. And you know, when you stop and think about that, like, wow, yeah, I'm successful. I'm making all this money. This is great. But yeah, you're not really building a sellable business. Our businesses really aren't that sellable. If we step out, I mean, I've heard of some people selling their teams, and it's absolutely been done, but it's not for a high multiple of any kind. And that goes for even coaching companies as well. You can make a lot of money, but at the end of the day, you can't duplicate Hero, so it's not really that sellable, you know. Now the brokerage is sellable, you know, and that's why, you know, it's been so great to be able to have stock awards, to be able to see agents text me and say, Al, thank you. I just looked at my stock portfolio and it just hit $1 million. That never happened before, you know, and getting those text messages, multiple messages. Al, holy crap. I just sold some stock and paid my house off. That never happened when I was at Remax. That never happened when I was even an independent broker. And so it's super cool with you know, what the companies have been able to do for agents, putting them truly first, and it's changing lives. And I've never been happier and more proud to work for you know, anyone else's company.
Yeah, and what you say is like so spot on. And I'm going to use another comparison. We talk about, you know, how do you get when you're a new agent? We say, oh, go talk to renters. You know, maybe they can afford to buy a house. And one of the lines that we teach agents to say is, you know, when are you going to stop paying your landlord's mortgage? So when are you going to stop building their investment? It's the same with agents to brokers. You know, when are you going to stop building the helping the broker build his business? But here's another thing, right? In real estate, if you're a landlord, there's a great chance, a really good chance. It's not, you know, completely guaranteed, but you're going to get appreciation your investment, because as my dad said, land, they ain't making any more of it, right? So it's going to appreciate. But a brokerage is not going to grow unless the broker does something. And I always make the joke that that's why they call them brokers, because a regular brokerage really doesn't make a lot of money, right? It depends if you want to bifurcate what you got in a broker owner. Being a broker and being an owner have to be two different things. It's two different jobs. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And that's why. Go ahead.
You and we've coached, you know, literally dozens, if not hundreds of team leaders and brokers. And I know you've seen some P&Ls where, you know, on the top end, they're doing $2, $3, $4 million in revenue a year, and they're not profitable. It's possible, trust me, in this business. For a company to bring in $4 million in revenue and nothing left, you know. Obviously there's things you can do to make sure that doesn't happen, but I've seen it time and time again. To really good, well respected people who, you know, they're smart and they're people that I've looked up to. So it's I'm not saying that in judgment. I'm saying it is what it is. You know, agent splits. The biggest piece of a brokerage's expenses is what you got to pay the agent. That could be anywhere from half to even 75% of the dollar, you know, and now you have maybe 25% to work with to pay the bills and hope that, you know, some's left over. So, you know, it's a fun business because there's so many different models out there to make it work. But at the end of the day, I know that we're in the right place. We've never been more profitable than even when I was an independent broker than we are today. And so I know that we're in the right spot with the right leadership in place, and we're definitely on the right ship.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's like Dan Beer put a video out probably a year ago. It said, you know, you can do the transaction the same way at Remax and Coldwell Banker and EXP and all that, but you don't have the collaboration that we have. You don't have that collaboration, the collaborative effect. Hey, look at you and me talking right here, right? So this is part of our collaboration. And it's also been a help for me to have all these different people on this broadcast over the past 3 years as well. So if someone said to you that, you know what, I want to start a team, what would you say to them?
I mean, I would say, what's the goal? I mean, ultimately, people say they want to start a team, but there's got to be a goal. What does it look like in 3 years if we were successful? And that's the first question I would ask them and say, okay, you want to start a team? Great. What does it look like if we're 3 years ahead of where we're at right now? Looking back, what would have needed to happen as you were building your team for you to look back and say, yep, we nailed it. It was successful. What would it look like? And I would start with that, because that's casting the vision. You got to know what it's going to look like, and I think that's where you have to start, when someone says, I want to build a team. I mean, I know why it should be, the answer to the question should be leverage, but that's my answer to it. I would need to know what their vision is. And that's how I would ask it. I actually Dave, I'm going to have to hop here in a minute, but
so quickly, I asked you that question just to get to why would you start a brokerage, which is what a lot of people do, but I know you got to go. I have the main question I have for you as we move along is, and end this broadcast, is 2 things. Number 1, how can I help you grow your business?
Man, just keep kicking out this great content. You're interviewing all the right people, and you're consistent with it. I see that you're hooked up with my man Nick Krem, right? And
Yep.
Nick was one of my first employees at Appointments Today. That's how we met. And
Right.
Nick worked his way up from an ISA, hitting them phones every single day, to actually helping run that company. And I just love I love Nick. Nick's like my little brother, and I love watching him grow. And I would say, Dave, you just keep doing what you're doing, keep adding value, and anything I can do to help you, man, I'm here for you. I appreciate you having me on today.
Thanks so much, man. And I know the main reason you came out, Jay has one and Mike has one, that you needed to get a hat. So
I do need one of those hats, man.
You're going to get one. Everybody gets a hat that's on the broadcast. Thank you so much for being on, man.
Yeah. Thank you, Dave.
Let's reconnect real soon. Thanks again. I'm just going to go out of the broadcast real quick. If you can stay for a second, that'd be great. Thank you, everybody, for coming in.